Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Another week gone, just like that. Take two, as usual, because Adam thought that I was talking to him and not the camera. So, yeah, but here we are. Beautiful morning. Over under the sound of my rattle, you can hear the birds. There's a couple of doves. I think the doves, they might be, I don't know, knocking about. It's lovely. I think I've got my dulcet tones tramping over the top of it, so I do apologise if you were tuning in for the quiet video. I did that one yesterday. 8.7 degrees today. The temperatures are going up, frustratingly. Like it a little bit colder for a little bit longer, but obviously we're mid-March now, so I think unless we get a really cold snap, that's not going to happen. But yeah, still nicely chilly. So all good. Let me just have a little drop. Still a bit hesitant with the drop, so it can't be that warm. I've got a really dodgy shoulder at the minute, and I don't know if that's what's bothering me with the dropping. I need to book some physio this week, but that's a whole other story. There you go. Right, let's give me a minute. There we are. Wow, that week went fast. Done a few videos this week. Obviously my little barrel chat on Monday. Did a little one yesterday that I just put on God, I'm not taking again, we're not doing it. No, I can't speak, sorry. Yeah, put it on Facebook and Instagram just so you could get a couple of minutes of what the barrel sounds like when I'm not waffling in it. It's really nice out here at the minute. It's really quiet. I love where we are. There's no noise. We don't get too much traffic noise. It's just chilled and quiet and lovely. I'm sure the neighbours love it until I come out here and start talking every morning. But there we go. Yeah. So I went and did a swim this week on my own, first one for a while. Did a little video about it on Tuesday. Had some work to do in Leeds, haven't been up there for quite a while, so I stopped at a little, quite big lake on the way back down called Bob. And it was my first sort of solo swim somewhere different for quite a while. I've swum there a few times last year, but it was first one for a while. And it was a bit weird actually, because I was dead nervous. I don't know what made me nervous. There was some lady swimming sort of on the far side of the bank, and it's not an entry point I really know, so I was stuck with where I was, but then there was no one else there swimming, and there was loads of dog walkers. I don't know, and it just made me a bit, I don't know, nervous maybe, just that someone was going to tell me off for getting in the water. Nobody did. I got a few funny looks, but it's par for the course when you swim in places you're not really supposed to swim in, so it's, by the by really. So, but it was a lovely swim, and I think it really helped me with my open water confidence, just getting that back up. You get a little bit complacent at the river because it's beautiful, but it's a little space where you can put your feet down, and people are very used to seeing swimmers, and at the minute there's no real challenge from anyone. So like when you go and swim in reservoirs in Sheffield, and sometimes there's a Yorkshire water van there, and sometimes there's a dog patrol there, and you have to, I've been lucky that really I've never really been massively challenged, but it always worries me about what I would do if I was. I know obviously the laws and the stuff around trespass, and I'm confident enough to speak about it to someone, but I think if someone challenged me, I'd be a bit like, oh God, what do I say? It's frustrating actually, because we're inland, we have no water access that we're actually allowed to use unless we pay for it. So there are organised swim venues around here. I've used them before. They're okay. They serve a purpose. If you're a long distance swimmer, or you trying to get into open water swimming or cold water swimming, then they're great for that kind of thing. But equally, it's kind of like wear a swim cap, wear a tow float, swim on a set course, and it's not really for me. I did when we went to London for Marathon Weekend, I actually swam at Victoria Dock, which is down by Excel, where the Sunborn yacht is, and there's a I can't remember the name of it. I think it's a Nauka venue or something like that, which I'm a member of, and it was nice. I really enjoyed the water and the surroundings, but I was like swimming the short course, head up breaststroke, like while everyone else was swimming the long course in the wetsuits with the heads down. There was just me that just had a swimming costume on. They all thought I was crazy because it was October. Yeah, different things for different people, I guess. I just like to be in the more natural water where you can just get in and swim your own swim. As long as you know you're safe and you've got the safety kit and you're capable, then it's great. But equally, there are very few places around here that can be done. You travel to Sheffield, you get in a reservoir, you run the risk of Yorkshire water. You get in rivers, you generally getting in on private land, which doesn't always go down well with people, doesn't always go down with people that live around the water that you're getting in, because inevitably when the water gets warmer, more people get in, and you get problems with litter and parking and all of that stuff. And it's frustrating. I would love, there's lakes around and about Worksop that I've scoped out for probably the last 2 years. There's one in, if you know Worksop, there's one in Shire Oaks that I would absolutely love to swim in. Well, there's two actually on the same site, but they're fishing lakes, and it's like, do you go in? Do you run the risk of getting in trouble? I've been there at this time in the morning when it's really early and there's no fishermen, but there's always just been that little bit of something that stopped me from getting in. And I think it's not the fear of the water, it's not the fear of what's in there. I know there's fish in there and that doesn't bother me, but I think it's the fear of being told off. What's the worst that could happen? To be fair, I'd get out and I'd not go back. There's nothing else that could be done, but it's a bit of a blocker for me. I've always wanted to swim at Cresswell Crags actually, and myself and one of my other river swimmers, when we were like really struggling for swim places last year when the rivers were high, we were toying with the idea of going early doors and trying to swim Cresswell Crags. We didn't get around to it, and actually someone on one of our Sheffield swim groups actually went and did it. They were very clever in how they did it actually. I take my hats off to them. They went during was it the work? I don't even know. I'm sorry, I'm terrible at football, but there was a football final on last year. I think it might have been the Euros. I do apologise if it was something else, but they went on the day that England was in the final during the football match, based on the proviso that everybody would be immersed in the football. And they had a fabulous swim, but were met by two gentlemen on a golf buggy when they got out, who'd seen them on CCTV, who escorted them off the premises and banned them from Cresswell Crags. So access is a massive problem, and it's frustrating because Cresswell Crags, oh my god, it's the most beautiful place. It's absolutely steeped in history. It would be such a gorgeous swim, as would probably the place in Shire Oaks that I've looked at. If you know Shire Oaks, you'll probably know where I'm talking about. It's a bit of water near the old hall, and I'm just desperate to go get in it. But if you go in without permission, you run the risk of being told off for trespassing. If you try and ask permission, you run the risk of being told no, because people don't want the liability of you swimming in there, even though you're capable. I've been doing this for nearly 2 years now. I like to think that I am a capable swimmer, and I know my limits. I know what I can and can't do. I'm a confident swimmer, and I know how to assess water and how long to stay in it. But to someone you've never met before, how do you convey that as that you are safe and that you don't pose any risk, and that you're not then going to end up bringing people in droves to go and swim at that spot? That's the other thing, is like, once you discover a spot, you've got to keep it so quiet, because otherwise you run the risk of it becoming overrun. Again, there is a spot that a few of us swim at, and it's a location that I never disclose. I'll occasionally put a very sketchy photo on social media, and that was very kindly, sort of, we were given permission to swim there by the landowners, but they limited the numbers and put a cap on it, understandably, because they didn't want their land to be just kind of constantly accessed by people who thought that they could swim there. So it's a tough one. Access is a really frustrating thing here, and obviously for me, I was born in Newquay in Cornwall. I don't even know if I've ever discussed that one, but yeah, I was born in Newquay in Cornwall, and I lived there until I was 9. And access to water was never a thing. We spent pretty much every sunny day in the school holidays on the beach, in the sea, or in the rivers that went down the side of the beach into the sea, like swimming, paddling, bodyboarding, everything. You know, you live down south, Newquay, places like that, you hit teenage years and you want to go out with your mates, you don't get given like a bike or whatever, or you probably do at some point, but you get given a wetsuit and you go and jump off safely because you're taught how to jump off the harbour walls, or go and swim in the harbour, or go surfing in the sea, and it's just the most normal thing to do, because it's a beach and it's accessible. And I'm just going to drop in for my last couple of minutes. I feel like I've just talked about not a lot for today, but actually access is quite an interesting subject, so I'm just going to do a bit more, bear with. Ooh, gosh. Still getting a pretty big chill when I drop my shoulders, I have to say. So where was I? Yeah, Mum and Dad went to Newquay a few weeks back, and I'd had a lovely apartment that was overlooking Towan Beach, which is the main beach in Newquay. It's the one closest to town. And they were sending me pictures every day of massive groups of people going into the sea, all safely, all tow floated. Ladies, mainly ladies. I think the wild swim population at the minute is very heavily female, which I think is amazing. I think I'm all for, like, you know, women leading the way and strong female leads and stuff, so I think it's amazing. But they were loving it, you know, they were having such a good time. But there was, like, you know, anything between 10 and 30 of them on any given day, just going into the sea, having a laugh and having a great time. Like, it is the most normal thing to do, because for them it is. But it's like, if we turned up at the river that we swim at, and there was 30 of us, and we went in and, you know, made a load of noise, we run the risk of pissing the landowner off and pissing the village off, because, you know, there's limited parking and we haven't parked, and we've made too much noise, and we're near someone's house, and you know, that's the challenge. The same with a reservoir. If you go and get in and the Yorkshire Water turn up and there's 30 of you in a reservoir, I mean, don't get me wrong, safety in numbers, what are they going to do about it? But still, it's just perceived so often as dangerous, and it's not dangerous, and I get so frustrated. You look at the signage for reservoirs, and it's like there's underwater equipment, there's strong undercurrents, there's this, there's that. My favourite one is that a reservoir never gets above, I think the signage says a reservoir never gets above 12 degrees at any time of the year. Now, obviously in the winter it doesn't, but in the summer you're looking at high teens. I think the highest reading I got out of a reservoir last year was about 19.5 degrees. It might even have been warmer. But it's scaremongery bullshit, basically, which is designed to keep people out of the water, because Yorkshire Water don't want the liability of people who don't know what they're doing going in and getting into trouble, which unfortunately does happen in the summer, on a very rare occasion. But when you look at the percentage of people that swim safely in any given location, it's a high percentage. There's a reservoir at Sparf, actually, which is Huddersfield, and they sort of permit swimming there. I haven't been, it's on my list to do, but their signage isn't "don't go in." It's basically about how to swim safely. And if you go up to Scotland, it's the same. You in Scotland, the trespass laws are different and the land laws are different. You have something called right to roam, which means basically you can go and get in any given body of water and no one can do anything about it. So they then focus on safety rather than stopping you getting in the water, and that's how it should be, really. Anyway, anywhere in in the country, because, you know, for me and for all of these people that are getting into swimming and that have been swimming for years, the water does wonders for people's mental health, physical health. So why stop the access to help people to do that, and restrict people that don't want to go swim lengths of a pool, inside or outside, or swim round a course in a circle? I don't understand why we do it. There was actually a really interesting talk, which I haven't watched yet, so I'm going to watch it. I'm going to put the link in my Facebook and on my YouTube. A lady called Susie Weeway, she's actually an outdoor swim coach. She's a wild swimmer as well. I met her a couple of years ago on one of my early swims at Water Swallows Quarry in Buxton. And she's done loads of online introduction to swimming courses and loads of online introduction to cold water courses, and I think probably 70% of the ladies that I swim with have been on her courses and taken in the knowledge that she gives. Not everybody does it. I would recommend everybody does it, but not everybody does it, because people are people. But yeah, she's started doing some sort of bi-weekly talks, and she did one this week with a guy called Nick Hayes about land access and trespass. He's written an amazing book called The Book of Trespass, which I'm about halfway through at the minute, which is probably why we're on the subject of trespass today. Not that I intended to be on this subject, but here we are, 16 and a half minutes later. Yeah, so I would recommend that you watch it and learn a little bit about that sort of stuff if you're interested. Trespass, what it's all about, where the key milestones were, like the kinder trespass and stuff, and why they're sort of important in the way trespass is treated and stuff. But yeah, I suppose it's just sometimes about venting a bit of a frustration about the fact that when you're inland, you cannot just go and swim in a lake without booking and paying or being told off. But if you live near the sea, fill your boots, go in whenever you want. And it just frustrates me sometimes, but there you go. They're my pearls of wisdom and rant for today. I don't know where that came from, I do apologise. We're coming up for 17 and a half minutes, which I think is actually a record. I know I haven't actually been completely submerged for that long, but my feet are starting to get a little bit cold, so I'm going to wish you all a happy Friday. I'll drop the links for the stuff I've been chatting about in comments, and yeah, I'll be back after the weekend. Have a great weekend, guys. Talk to you soon.